Hello gamers, it's Mew. I think we're long overdue for the full lore of my series of fnaf gjinkas. Honestly, it's all pretty similar to what you already know, but since there's actors instead of animatronics, there has to be some big changes made to suit this. I'll leave out character backstories unless absolutely necessary. So, as of recording this, only the original 5 from the first game have birth names, as well as Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. The farther along I get through these designs, the more I'll sit down and make actual birth names. But Freddy Fazbear is played by Frederick Fazzy Jr., Chica is played by Francisca Galina, Bonnie is played by Bonnie Castillo, and Foxy is played by Fox McKinney, and also Golden Freddy is played by Terry Dolmans. Fredbear is played by Frederick Fazzy Sr., and Spring Bonnie is played by Spring Bonibel Castillo. Since the character and actors are quite similar, at least for these group, except for Terry. Terry's not like Golden Freddy, but I'll get to that. I do use the names a lot, very interchangeably, but the later characters are going to be quite separate from the characters that they play, so those later guys, their names are probably going to be completely different from the characters that they play. And possession for this works kind of weird. If someone dies in front of you, they can possess you, either because you had something to do with their death, or they see you as someone that will protect them. You can even be possessed by multiple people at once, and while someone can be haunted by a ghost, they don't necessarily have to be always watching. I imagine the ghost can just say hey, I'm gonna go to sleep, and the living won't hear from the ghost for a while. Same with the living, though they just go sort of dormant. But at some point, both the ghost and the living have to sleep, because if the body is awake for too long, they'll just be sleep deprived. If a ghost and the living have a good relationship, then there won't be any problems, like if the living protected the ghost before death. However, if their relationship is bad, then the living may get possessed against their will, and their life may get fucked, especially if the ghost possessing them died at the hand of the living whose body they inhabit. And if there's more than one person possessing someone, absolute chaos. And ghosts also have the ability to just go off on their own, though they can only really go to places emotionally significant. The 5 missing children of the MCI incident can go to Fazbear's, and they just torment the security guard just because they can. Now, for the dead to actually pass on and not possess anyone, either they have to make peace with their death, have the living body they inhabit die, though that doesn't always work, because they can just go possess someone else instead, or the living does some sort of ritual. Don't ask what the ritual entails, because I don't know. Ghosts can also jump from different bodies too, so long as the living they inhabit are in the company of others. If the living body they inhabit dies alone, that's it. They're done. So, once again, before I get into actual stuff, I will say I'm not keeping the stuff with the Mimic. I haven't kept up with recent games after Security Breach, but from what I can tell, the Mimic heavily involves animatronic stuff, so that's not canon nor a secret of the Mimic, for now at least, unless I can find a way to work if it was with human actors. I don't know what to do. If you have suggestions, let me know. Okay. So, let's get started. So, in 1975, Henry, Emily, and William Afton, 2 childhood friends, come together to create Fredbear's Family Diner in Hurricane, Utah. They hire Frederick Fazzy Sr. to act as the titular Fredbear, and Spring Bonibel Castillo to play Spring Bonnie. Frederick was the soul singer, and Spring Bonibel sang jazz and scats, which were incorporated into their characters. In 1981, they bought out Chica's Party Time Parlor, as their owner was a friend with a similar concept who just couldn't go on with the business anymore, and they planned to integrate concepts from Chica's Party Time Parlor into their own. Chicago Galena played the human version of what was retroactively dubbed Party Time Chica, and while she was invited to play a future version of Chica, she decided to move on to other things instead. In 1982, they began to introduce new characters as well, who are much younger to appeal to teenagers, and these are dubbed the Fredbear Teens. Frederick Fazbear, son of Frederick Fazbear Sr., plays Freddy Fazbear, son of Fredbear. He plays the leader of the Fredbear Teens. He's charming, kind, and gets along great with the kids. The most, at least. They all have to be good with kids to, be the Fredbear Teens. He is 15 years old at this point in time. Fox McKinney is a newcomer to the diner. He was an orphan on the streets that was later adopted by one of the workers at the diner, and he was invited to audition to play Foxy, which he got the job. He's scruffy, eccentric, and he has a huge obsession with pirates that was integrated into the character of Foxy the Pirate. He is 14 years old. Francisca Galena, daughter of Chicago Galena, plays Chica the Chicken, taking over the role of her mother. She plays a rebooted, younger version of her mother's character. She's energetic, happy, speedy with her roller skates, and a favorite character among the girls. She is 16 years old, and she's also the oldest. Bonnie Castillo, son of Spring Bonnibel, plays Bonnie the Bunny. He is haughty, competitive, argumentative, with a slight temper, but a really talented guitarist. While the rest of the restaurant had their actors sing, their music was pre-recorded, but Bonnie played live guitar music. At this point in time, Bonnie was also extremely Western. He wore a Western outfit with cowboy boots and everything. He also came out as a trans male shortly before his character debuted, and while management was supported, he had to pretend he was always cisgender for safety reasons and to pass. He is 15 years old. All kids except for Fox were homeschooled to have a better working schedule, because Foxy was on the streets. His adoptive guardian parent wanted him to actually be in school to have a semblance of a normal childhood. And Foxy the Pirate was built around Fox's school schedule. In 1983, business was booming like never before. People from all across the country, and even beyond, would travel to Fredbear's. The Fredbear Teens get moved to Freddy Fazbear's Diner, a place more geared toward kids and teens, and their birthday packages were booked up to months in advance. Henry and William were in talks with the character actors to make music CDs and even send them on a tour in the future. This part is kind of, it's hard to translate this part into, like, a version that works with just human actors, so this part is still kind of up in the air, so bear with me. Evan is an easily frightened child who misses his mom, who died. Actually, I think she might have not died yet. I don't know. And he hallucinates scary versions of the Fazbear Teens at his home. That's the best I can do. I'm sorry. And then there was an incident involving involving Evan being thrown at Fredbear so hard he developed a serious concussion and then also died. Again, hard to incorporate, but best I can do. And the incident kind of set panic and fury into the surrounding area of Hurricane. The diner more or less became a ghost town. Character actors were all horrified and were in talks with Henry and William. Frederick Sr. blamed the death of Evan on William's parenting skills and wanted to no longer be involved with the diner, whether or not business continued. Spring Bonnibel was more sympathetic to William for his loss. Frederick Jr. could not believe a horrific incident could occur at Freddy's, and he wanted to believe things could be made right. Fox was disillusioned by the incident and felt horrible. His character was now also associated with the incident, and he wanted out, but also feared he might not have a choice, and he just pretended to be okay with what happened. Francisca, while believing things could go back to normal, her mother believed otherwise, and she wanted to buy back her company. Francisca was more angry at Michael than William, and she grieved the child she used to babysit. Also, she was a babysitter for Evan, and also probably Elizabeth too. Bonnie had zero idea what to think, and regardless of what they wanted, Fredbear's Diner had to close due to low sales, and Spring Bonnibel was the only one working the last day, and the few that did go to the diner of the last day, they didn't stick around because Spring Bonnibel was always the less popular character, and after some consideration, William was fired due to his family's association with the '83 incident, and Henry Emily took full ownership of the company. Despite him assuming that Freddy Fazbear's wouldn't survive much longer, it did survive another 2 years. Sales were slow, but they did pick up again, and Freddy Fazbear's even grew to have better sales than Fredbear's. Fredbear's was the source of the company's controversy, and now that it and William are gone, things would be smooth sailing from then on. And since Fredbear had always been the most popular character, Henry wanted to bring him back, but because of legal issues with Frederick Sr., their name couldn't be the same, so he altered Freddy's costume to be yellow and hired another man around the kid's age. Or I don't think they wouldn't even be kids at this point. They're like maybe 18 at the most. So they hired another man to play Golden Freddy, the actor in question named Terry Dolmans. He played a special version of Freddy, but it was still too similar to Fredbear, and the character didn't get to be used much, and Terry was also very busy with his own work, because he had his own, acting theater career going on, so he only got to come in a few times a month anyway. Golden Freddy was not really liked by the others either. They were never really friends with this actor, so... And then, in 1985, during a children's birthday party, Freddy and the gang each noticed William Afton was back, dressed as a more masculine version of Spring Bonnie. Despite the four hating Terry, they even put aside their differences to check things out, and they were horrified to discover William had murdered 5 children, and they worked with the other staff to evacuate everyone from the building, and they got the police there, but despite the testimony, William couldn't be convicted. Security cameras were broken, and they didn't catch the murders on camera. Henry and Emily wanted things to be buried so as not to ruin the business again, but the 5 were angry and were very open about what had happened. The 5 had also discovered that they were now haunted by the murdered children. Not in a bad way, necessarily, but because the children believed the 5 would protect them as ghosts. Gabriel, who is 5, haunted Frederick. Fritz, 8, haunted Fox. Susie, 6, haunted Francisca. Jeremy, 8, haunted Bonnie. And Cassidy, 4, haunted Terry. The 5 went on strike, and Freddy Fazbear's had to close down. Things seemed to be over, for real this time. Life moved on. Frederick's dad passed away from cancer, and most of the others were invited to the funeral, even Terry, but that would be the last time most of them would ever see each other again. Frederick worked as a regular waiter at a regular restaurant to put himself through an acting college. Fox had to return to the streets because his adoptive parent passed away, and he had no others to turn to. Although he could have turned to the others, they would have helped him out, but he felt he couldn't, since they were all kind of estranged now. But with the parting of everyone, he felt guilty asking for help, and he found a way to make it as a pickpocket. Bonnie was in various bands, but most never paid enough, so since he didn't have to pay rent at home, he tried to be helpful around the house in other ways. And Chica was also a waitress while trying to decide what to do next with her life, but she didn't work with Frederick or anything. During this, Afton makes Circus Baby's Pizzeria. He wanted to inflict the kind of grief upon others. When he lost his son Evan, he trains the actors to kill children, but also act, and they were under a strict NDA not to say anything. It all goes wrong when Circus Baby kills Elizabeth Afton and becomes haunted by a spirit, so they just become a rental company instead of a restaurant like Freddy's. And now, why doesn't he fire the actress for Circus Baby? I like to think, considering his reputation, which is already a bit rocky, it was kind of hard to get people to work for him to begin with, and let alone, train them to be murder, so, he's kind of stuck with her. This part is also one I'm kind of iffy on, to be honest, but again, some things are kind of difficult to translate in this, human actor AU, so... In 1987, the new version of Fred Fazbear's came out, and the original 4 were pissed at being replaced, but also that their actors didn't really resemble much of them as people to begin with. When the original 4 were playing their characters, they really didn't feel like it was acting, and it was just fun. It was like they were mostly just being themselves, but the new characters were characters. I don't have names for any of these guys yet, so, yeah, just keep watching this series, I guess. They were finally reunited once again over their shared hatred for the toys, until another incident caused by Afton that once again, couldn't be proved that pissed them off, and they were sympathetic to the toys, who were haunted just as they were, and they gave them advice to cope and deal with being possessed. That restaurant never made enough money, so it was already going to close regardless of the incident. Also, unfortunately, no Bite of 87 incident, because I don't know how to include that at all without, like, I don't know, cannibalism. I don't want to do that. The four actually remained in contact after the new restaurant, though their friendships wouldn't be the same as they used to be as teens. Not yet, anyways. In 1990, Michael Afton has the nightmares in FNAF 4, and he's still grieving and stuff. Yeah, that's it for the FNAF 4 stuff. And then, in 1993, they were invited to work at Freddy's yet again, with Henry and Emily fully being transparent about their past and trying to do things safely this time. And after some thinking, they decided to go for it, and they were happy to be back yet again, and they also felt hopeful. There was also a lot of relationship drama. Freddy and Chica got together, then Bonnie also with Freddy and Chica, and then Foxy later joined the Polycule. Though Foxy and Bonnie were probably like the last people to actually start dating. Fox also had periods of disappearing randomly, which freaked them out, and they were distraught to learn that he was living on the streets due to his mother's death. And he also lost his lower legs and a hand, so he moved in with the four. For the most part, aside from their haunted spirits tormenting the night guard at night, which they tried to get them to stop, but they wouldn't. Mostly everything seemed to be going well. They weren't surprised when they had to close again for low sales, but they were happy to indulge in their childhood jobs again while things lasted. And then, in the last few weeks before closing, William Afton comes back again at night, plotting another murder. Spring Bonnibel also happens to be there as she's feeling nostalgic, and unfortunately she's a witness to the spirit's murder, and she gets possessed with William Afton. The original four are not happy that, yet again, another incident occurred at their beloved childhood job, and Bonnie also talks to his mom about the possession stuff, and they also try to help her adjust to being possessed. With fucking William Afton, the worst possible choice of someone to get possessed by. And this basically forces them to close sooner than planned, and the company is just done with it at that point. The four are grateful that it did launch them back into stardom. They were very happy about that. They also got the rights to their characters as well. They can basically play and act as them as long as they aren't trying to do another version of Fazbear's. Freddy got to sing, Bonnie got to join a band, Chica got to act, and Foxy got to work at a pirate museum. They were really happy together. And Terry is not really working there. He's kind of around, but like, again, they were never really friends with Terry, even after like the moment or when they kind of were on decent terms. Okay, events of Sister Location take place. So much of this hinges on them being animatronics, so I'm just gonna say everyone died so that they could possess Michael, who isn't purple, but he's possessed by multiple people, not really happy about it, and can barely function as a person, being possessed with all these people, and he wants to find a way to stop the possession, find his father, end it all. Fazbear Frights opens in 2023, which is more just about all the fucked up stuff that's happened in their various restaurants, and the company wants to try to capitalize on their fucked up reputation. I also like to think some of the old characters and actors come back and they dress up specifically to be scary, and also open up publicly about their possession. That's what the nightmares are, and that's why, like, in my version, that's why, like, only some of the characters are there. Spring Bonnibel in particular is like super unstable because possessed by William and desperately trying to find a way to get him out. The characters that aren't present had other commitments of some kind. Once again, place doesn't do so well, so the characters that are working there are allowed to just burn the place down. But Spring Bonnibel throws herself into the fire as she's just tired of dealing with being possessed. Also, she feels she was just done with life, and they try to save her, but they can't, and Bonnie is fucking devastated. Everyone that was possessed does some kind of ritual or something, so finally, the spirits that possess them can move on. And I know it probably would have been more canon compliant if, like, almost everyone that worked there fucking died, but I kind of don't want to do that. Afton does live yet again, though I think he possessed another body. I don't know yet. I guess some random person that worked there. I don't know. We'll figure it out. And then, Pizzeria Simulator! Henry Emily strikes an agreement with the new company to open a new restaurant with new character actors in a rebooted version of them, wanting to clean up their image. Again, that's what he told them anyway. Michael Afton also joins in. They find all the others roaming around. I guess Elizabeth Afton had to possess someone else. I guess, whoever the circus baby actress she possessed died, I guess. Lefty in this is like a jailer or something, just like looking for the actor of Puppet and then just keeping them captured. And once everything is in place, Henry burns it all down and they perish, and Michael is sick of being possessed by all these people. Even though there's the ritual, I guess he doesn't know that the ritual is a thing, so he dies in the fire. William survives again, possessing someone else, but people think he actually died. I mean, they also thought with Fazbear Fights he did die too. Character actors of this place escape. They're deeply traumatized, though thankfully no possession stuff this time, and everyone that has survived mourns Michael. Definitely not William, and they kind of mourn Henry. It's complicated. Ultimate Custom Night is William's version of hell, where he's haunted by a lot of people he's hurt and just being killed constantly, but also there's characters that never existed. Maybe they were concepts he never brought to life. Not much to say. I don't really know anything about the Air games, only that Glitch Trap is there, and he's an AI version of William that wants to recreate his crimes or something. If you want me to flesh this part out, let me know, and I'll watch some people play it, I guess. But it seems there's not a whole lot of story to talk about. But this game would probably be less about fixing the animatronics, and more about the nostalgia and interacting with the old actors. And then security breach happens, Fazbear's is bought out again, and attempts to clean their image for the millionth time. So, Glamrock Freddy starts feeling kind of off in the middle of a performance, and he finds Gregory in his little dressing room thing, and he helps him out. Vanessa, security guard, wants help finding Gregory, so a lot of the staff just stays the night to look for him. Really, world's worst all-nighter. They go on a bunch of quests trying to help Gregory get out and encounter Vanny. Then he's captured, and then the ending where William Afton comes back again. They confront Vanessa, they save her from Vanny, and then they escape, exhausted after an emotionally taxing day. I did watch gameplay of this game, but I don't remember a lot, so if you want a revised and more in-depth version of this, let me know. I think Gregory was canonically an orphan, so he gets adopted by Vanessa and Glamrock Freddy, and he hangs out at the security breach restaurant all the time, I guess. Now, are Vanessa and this version of Glamrock Freddy dating in this? I don't know. I think I would, if I were to ship them, or if it's just like a platonic, like we just adopted a kid together as friends, like, I don't know. I'll have to look at some gameplay again to figure that out. And once again, the place fails. Fazbear doesn't learn, like, ever. But anyway, Gregory is, like, trapped, I guess, like, it closed so suddenly, he just gets, like, trapped and no one, like, fucking cares. So his friend Cassie teams up with Roxanne, who is unemployed now, so she literally has nothing better to do anyways, and they help free him. Never watched gameplay of this either, so I'm not elaborating too much, but I can if you want me to. I know the stuff with the Mimic is involved in this DLC, but for now, it's not really part of this. This would literally just be Cassie trying to help Gregory escape. Probably going to be more FNAF games, and if this series goes on long enough, I'll adjust the timeline to match, but I think once that location shuts down, it's gone for good, unless they open another location, and then it failed again. I think, like, but I like the idea that at some point, all the actors, old and new, I guess the original 4, like, are still alive. I don't know, it's not I don't think it's confirmed how far in the future security breach is, but it's far enough in the future that the original 4 are probably in, like, their 80s and 90s or something. But yeah, I'd like to think, like, after that, it's gone for good. So, all new and old actors, they talk about their respective experiences, and there's a lot of nostalgia about it, but everyone's ready to just put it to rest and not make new locations anymore. They finally learned their lesson, guys. So I feel like personalities are very similar to what we've seen, if anything. Some of them I feel like just popular headcanons and stuff. But I didn't get to elaborate on the backstories of Freddy and Chica stuff, so I will do that here now. So Freddie was born in a family of actors and singers. His dad, before becoming Fredbear, sang in jazz clubs and bars, and his mom was an actress. They weren't really millionaires, but they were comfortable, and then when Frederick Sr. started playing Fredbear, they exploded in popularity and became rich. Freddie was inspired by his dad, and when Fredbear was looking to have a teen group of 4 at the restaurant, he jumped at the chance to audition, and he nailed it, and he was dubbed leader. He doesn't really play a character so much as he was instructed to be himself. Honestly, that goes for, like, the original Fredbear and the Fazbear teens. That's the kind of the case for all of them, pretty much. He loved his job. He got along quite well with the others. Bonnie, he'd known much longer than everyone, because, like, you know, their parents were co-workers, so of course, like, they probably hung out sometimes. Then the 83 incident occurred. Frederick Sr. wanted out. Freddie didn't, and he was able to get his father to agree to let him keep working there instead. He worked until 85 when the missing children incident occurred, made him lose his spark. He got along well with the child he was haunted by, but he was struggling with PTSD and feeling like a failure. His dad died soon after the restaurant closed, and while his friends went to the funeral, they all kind of moved on, or started to move on with their lives. He went to college for acting, and then the new Freddy's opened, which made him pissed. Became friendly with the toys when it closed, but never really stayed in touch. The 4 did remain in contact, but only did they become friends like they used to by the time of the restaurant, and the rest kind of, like I've already explained, so I'm not going to repeat the rest. Chica, born Francisca Galena, was born in a why did I write business family? I meant family business. Friendly with William Afton and Henry Emily. She was also probably friendly with Bonnie and Freddie, but before they started working together, I don't think they were friends yet. She probably babysat Elizabeth and Evan if Michael wasn't around to do it, and she was really close with them. She hated Michael, and, like, her parents' restaurant was, like, similar idea, pizzeria, character actors. Her dad was the owner and the manager of the restaurant, and her mom played Chica, retroactively known as Party Time Chica, and they fell in hard times in 81 because their parents got divorced. Neither really wanted to keep the business open. I think it was probably just a reminder of the past. So Henry and William bought the pizzeria. They used Chica's character in the future. Chica's mom figured stuff out in the middle of the divorce, and when the auditions opened, Chica jumped at the chance to make her mother's old character her own, and she wanted to make her proud, and she did, because her version of Chica was, like, did more, I guess, than Party Time Chica. So Freddy was the leader, but I think Chica truly was the glue of the 4, mostly breaking up Bonnie and Foxy's constant fights. She, just like Freddy, had the same reactions to the various incidents that occurred at Freddy's and Fredbear's. She did waitressing while in community college, genuinely unsure what to do with her life, and then stuff with the toys happened. She's probably the only one that actually talks to them on a semi-regular basis, especially Toy Bonnie and Toy Chica. Again, the rest is kind of, I already explained, so I'm not going to talk about that more. And at the time of recording this, I still have yet to make the one with, God, there's, like, yeah, I think the next videos, I have to do, like, a 4-parter, like, put, like, 4 characters together. I fell behind on this Fazbear's redesign series. Still gonna work on it, of course, but, you know. Okay, almost 30 minutes of a recording. Jesus Christ. Anyways, I hope this lore makes sense, and, I did try to, like, make this so it's, like, similar to what we already know, but I think, like, I did also arrange the timeline in ways that I thought would just kind of make sense for the Gjinka story, so similar, but, like, there is some differences, kind of expected, because, you know, actors instead of animatronics, but I hope you're liking this AU. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying indulging in my childhood interests. Also, hopefully next I will actually, like, make a video where I put all my designs for, Bonnie, Foxy, William Afton and Golden Freddy because I drew those designs out already, but I just have yet to put them together for an actual video. Trying to like space all the videos that are like in the same series out because I think seems like posting like videos in a series like back to back to back is like not good. So, yeah. Thank you for listening to this big lore video. I hope you liked it. More Freddy Fazbear's coming soon. Check out my Patreon for like sneak peeks and stuff, and also consider buying my book. Nothing related to Five Nights at Freddy's, but it's got like mental health. It's an adult fantasy, and it's about why you probably shouldn't be dating, but also best friends with like two big like known like or suspected, I guess, criminals with a bad reputation. I don't know. That would be cool. That's actually gonna be it now. Thank you for watching so much. I had fun, even though this was annoying to record. That is all. Bye.